Hello, hello. Welcome into the PHNX Cardinals podcast presented to you by the DraftKings Sportsbook app, America's top-rated sportsbook app. Be sure to like, subscribe, leave us a 5-star review wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Johnny Venerable, joined by two gifts from God today. Bo Brock, Damien Anderson. Gentlemen, it's a pleasure, it's a blessing to be able to do this show with both of you. Bo Brock, how we feeling?
Feeling great. It's a big day to be in Arizona, Phoenix Valley, PHNX sports fans. Huge day for the Sell the Team crowd out there. Let's go. Repping my PHNX Sun shirt. But it's great. You know, the Arizona Cardinals even the record at 1-1. They've got a big game against the defending Super Bowl champions. Big, heavy vet day out there. But, yeah, it's just hope sparks eternal, I guess, as far as Arizona sports goes.
Yeah, guy. I'm just excited about what it is, Johnny. You know what I mean? You got to, not to get off subject, Bo, and talk about selling to the team. I mean, this is the society that we live in. And if it is as horrid as they say, to everyone due process, pressure was too much. Sarver had to do what he had to do. And, deservedly so. People that had to experience that, it's unfortunate. And I'm glad they had a voice and were able to speak out. But transitioning, to speaking out about the Cardinals and Kliff Kingsbury talking about Kyler being a gift, Johnny. I mean, anytime your quarterback makes plays like that, it enables you to have one thing that's paramount in the head coaching industry, and that's job security. So anytime that you could have your quarterback having a Hall of Fame day, right, you get the W and your team is posted all over the NFL. I mean, that's a great day. It's a good feeling going into week 3.
KR Gordon asks, is it copyright if I make my own PHNX Johnny Ducklip shirt? It is, but I'll tell you what, I'll send you my PayPal account and you can cut me a percentage and we'll be gravy.
No.
Oh, I can't do that. Okay. Producer Emma, who's,
Venmo.
We're Johnny.
We're nice to Johnny here.
So Emma, you're saying there's going to be a duck lip shirt made?
I'm into one thing, that's winning money, downloads, clicks, views, whatever it takes. I'm not starting an OnlyFans on here, but I am going to talk about Kliff Kingsbury, Kyler Murray. Bo Brock's not into that comment at all. All right, so Bo's at the facility today, and Kliff Kingsbury, Bo, was talking about K1 and pretty much gushing over his fourth-year quarterback.
Yeah, as he should be. I mean, the guy that kind of put the team on his back once the defense decided to show up in the second half and get some punts. Kyler Murray and the offense decided to oblige him with some scores, and Kliff Kingsbury kind of went through, the dual threat nature of Kyler Murray and, what's best suited for him in the offense and going forward and how he can kind of really utilize and maximize his franchise quarterback. But, breaking it down, Kliff was asked point blank about Kyler Murray, and Kliff did not mince words as far as how much Kyler Murray means to him. Here's what Kliff said.
I look at him as like a gift from God. Yeah, I mean, I've never seen any quarterback move like that, that type of quick twitch and make people miss and explosiveness. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's just part of the whole package. And when he's making great decisions on when to run, when to get down, when to throw it away, when to step up in the pocket, that's when we're at our best. And he did a great job of that.
A gift from God is Kyler Murray. And, I mean, if there was any question before, seeing what was on display on Sunday, throughout this contract saga, like there was no plan B for this organization because Kliff Kingsbury is hitched to the Kyler Murray wagon, and so is Steve Keim, and it just gets further on display the more and more we watch this guy play, DA.
I mean, he's been doing it since he came in the league, Bo. To be a rookie of the year, to win Pro Bowls, to do what he's done, and to receive over, $200 million. We talked about those signature moments, Bo, to having plays where he puts the team on his back. And I think that's, people, in the chats have talking about, does Kyler need to run more? Is it more play design? I think it's a combination of both. I think obviously Kliff's success is kind of it's intertwined with Kyler's success. So I think that they're filling it out. Maybe it was traditional in terms of they understand when Kyler runs, there's a higher proportion or likelihood that he'll get hurt, right? So you want to preserve that as long as you can. But I think that there's some things that they could do schematic wise in spreading out the football field and keeping, lanes and opportunities open if guys aren't there on a 3-step or 5-step, type of sequence in terms of Kyler dropping back, 3 steps in getting rid of the football, or a 5-step, Kyler will have more, bigger lanes in which to make that decision. And where in comparison or contrast, where there's 2 tight ends, Johnny, and he doesn't have that space to maneuver in and out, as Kliff said.
So Kliff was trending on Twitter locally here in the Valley after those comments today. And I think the majority of pushback from fans came from the mindset that, and we see some in the chat, like, Kyler saves Kliff more often than not. Kliff has his shortcomings, but he has K1. Anybody could succeed with Kyler Murray. And I'm not sure that's necessarily the case. We're fans of Kliff Kingsbury, what he's done for the Cardinals on this show. What I will say is this. I think sometimes a blessing can be a curse. I will go to war with anybody who thinks that, Kliff Kingsbury's best 2 game plans last year, in my opinion, came without Kyler Murray, at San Francisco, at Seattle. Sometimes I feel like with this team and how they operate offensively, it takes them too long to get going. And I think part of the reason is that Kyler and Kliff have not yet maximized, and we saw flashes in the pan last year, that secret sauce that the offense can start fast and stay fast for 4 quarters. And that's what they're looking to achieve this year in week 3, specifically against the Rams this Sunday. So I think Kliff Kingsbury is very innovative and very creative and frankly underrated as an offensive mind. I watched what he did last year with James Conner and, a bunch of B and C players, and Colt McCoy beat up on the San Francisco 49ers. I watched him go to Seattle and win that game with moxie and play action and no Kyler Murray in sight. And those 2 games got them into the postseason. But I also think that sometimes Kyler Murray, maybe you can use him too much as a crutch, and that we just haven't seen Kliff and Kyler be at their best together at the same time. And we're in year 4. I'm still kind of waiting for that to flourish and happen, where we get like a sustained amount of period that this team can ride into the postseason, where it's like Kyler Murray's kicking ass. He's an MVP candidate. And oh, by the way, Kliff Kingsbury has solidified himself as a respectable NFL coach. We all know he can be those things, but they just, for whatever reason, haven't synced up at the same time.
Right. Yeah. I mean, there was high expectations for the Arizona Cardinals by making this kind of out of the box move to hire this offensive guru, Kliff Kingsbury, and bring him in, that he's going to take this offense to not only into current modern day offenses, where they weren't in 2018. They were back in the Jurassic era with Mike McCoy. It was a disaster. But the expectations are that this was just going to be a juggernaut right out of the gates. And with Kyler Murray and his skill set, I still feel like this fan base feels like there's so much more to tap into, so much potential that they're not hitting. I mean, this is a offense, guys, that's never scored 40+ points. They've never put a 40 burger on the board under Kliff Kingsbury, which is it's pretty surprising to me. But really, what I think they can do, and what you saw in full display in the second half, was balance and rhythm. Like, they had a great pass rush balance, whether it was Kyler Murray toting the rock, or Darrell Williams, or Eno Benjamin getting the carry. You saw the option play that we had on full display on our Twitter today at PHNX_Cardinals. 188 passing yards in the second half and 96 rushing yards. That's a great balance that kept the Raiders defense at bay and really let Kyler Murray and this offense cook. And when you see that balance week in and week out, and we saw it early last season, you saw it at pretty close to full strength. And I think that's going to be the biggest key. And hopefully they knock the rust off after 6 brutal quarters to start this season.
Bo, I agree, but I also think that that's the common denominator there is Kyler running the football. And
yeah.
If you look back to the success of last year, this year, I mean, majority of those plays are improvisational, right? Where the plays break down and he extends the play and gets a first down, or we saw in game 2 just some heroic plays where he's shedding, defenders off him and going, 80-something plus yards just to get 2, right? So he needs to do more of that. And I think maybe the approach, maybe he was more conservative in game 1 in comparison to game 2, right? And he needs to understand that he needs to do a lot more of that to keep drives happening, because we could see how, Johnny, to your point of the slow starts, we could see how they fizzled out in the first two games, right? They 3 and out. It just seems like they never got things going until Kyler started running the football. And if whatever that magic number is it 40 yards? Is it, 50 yards? They just need to get him involved. And he needs to know that, hey, I need to take these running lanes, because it just helps our team as keeping obviously the opposing offenses off the football field, keeping our team going, and also helps the game in terms of field advantage, in terms of positioning. So it has so many impacts. And as I said a little bit earlier, I think Kliff can do that by having more spread looks, having more four wides or 3-by-1s where he's spreading the defenses out. So Kyler will have that two-pronged approach where obviously I'm throwing the football, but if it's not there, I could get 5 and 6 and I'm sitting pretty in second and third down.
Kay Gordon in the chat, did you all hear the presser that Kliff said coaches came out of the tunnel at half and players stayed back? Hopefully that little players meeting changes the season. Bo Brock, was that a comment from Kliff today?
I don't remember that specifically. I mean, there was a lot of talk about, injuries and Kyler Murray. I'd have to go back. But no, that wasn't something that I heard. I remember listening to the broadcast as we were making our way from the watch party at Fort Peaks back to the PHNX studios, and they were talking about the players being out on the field pretty earlier. So that would kind of be conflicting stories about who was out there and who was getting ready on the field for the second half. But yeah, look, if as long as somebody was getting up, somebody else is behind for the performance in the first half. And I think that the entire team didn't like where they were at, and people started kind of focusing in, and you saw that. I think as far as what we witnessed in the second half in this offense and where it can really be successful and start off, not stagnant as what was asked in Kyler Murray's used that word before about the offense's performance, is maybe holster the big plays for right now. Like we know this offense to be a big play offense. Kyler Murray possesses the ability to throw the ball downfield as accurate as anybody in the league. But I think with DeAndre Hopkins being out, with Rondale Moore still coming along, he didn't practice again today, that you might need to just holster the big plays for right now. I'm not saying like completely, like you can still see a Greg Dortch 20-plus yard reception. You can still see a Hollywood Brown 20-plus yard possession or reception. But I really think you need to kind of holster it and be an offense that becomes kind of more possession-minded. And I think that plays to their strengths. And we saw it. We saw these long double-digit drives in the second half. And not only does that benefit Kyler Murray and Kliff Kingsbury and the Cardinals offense, it also benefits the defense to stay fresh on the sidelines and not be as gassed as they were against the Chiefs all game in the first half against the Raiders. But I think that would help them out tremendously before DeAndre Hopkins comes back. And then by then, go for broke.
Well, and I think Kyler Murray, to me right now, is at his best when he is playing the intermediate pocket passer with this receiving core. Ertz, he was super accurate. That pass to A.J. Green on the 2-point conversion. Let's not force the deep, explosive game until it's there. Like last year before, you had Hopkins, you had Christian Kirk playing well. You could force that, right? A.J. Green was a little bit faster. Now, you're older, 34 years old. To me, it's how efficient can we be running the football? And Kliff can do this to a fault. It's like we can get impatient because we all love the big play. We saw it at nauseum to begin the season last year, and that is really what kicked off their offensive explosion. Deep downfield to Rondale, right? Deep downfield to Christian Kirk, and Hopkins is always breaking tackles. Now it's like, okay, we're going to see the maturation process of Kyler Murray. Dinkin and Duncan to Zach Ertz, who really right now is basically a catch and go down guy. And there's nothing wrong with that. He can get separation when he needs to. But then, Hollywood Brown probably is your only opportunity to go deep. But, Greg Dortch has great separation. Advanced metrics put him like second or third in the NFL behind Justin Jefferson. I mean, he's doing a fantastic job. But when you sometimes, and I go back to those two games, he didn't have Kyler Murray last year. When you take away the temptation of the big play with Kliff, and you just say, play within the confines of our personnel right now, because our personnel, let's face it, a little bit limited. We're missing some of the horses in the barn here. Let's be physical. Let's run the football. Remember how physical they were against San Francisco and Seattle in those two games last year? You can take that same approach with the LA Rams this Sunday, Damien, where you can say, assuming James Conner plays, like, you're going to get 15 carries. Darrell Williams is going to get 10 carries. Kyler Murray is going to get 10 carries. We're going to run downhill. And assuming our defense, as Bo just mentioned, gets ample time to rest and be off the field, and they're not giving up 14 points at the blink of an eye, which is what happened against Kansas City and the Raiders in the first half, I think the Cardinals want to be a downhill running team for now in the first quarter and a half of the season.
Johnny, yeah, that definitely makes sense, because what does it do? It keeps the defense off the field, and number one, more important than that, it preserves Kyler Murray if you have the ability to rush the football, right? Because you're not so dependent on his abilities, him scrambling and or him throwing the football. And I think that that's always the intent, right? Maybe initially in the games, but we know that they get paid too. Right.
Yeah.
So it's not like they're just going to be like, oh, yep. Hey, guys, they call it a balanced game plan. So let's get out the way and make sure they get first down. Shit, no. I mean, we wish that's how it worked, guys. But I think we also know that that's, to me, you've seen, I don't know, two different Kliffs, right? We've seen a first half Kliff and a second half Kliff where the first half, like he's trying to go on his, script. And then the second half, it becomes more of him, where he's more spreading the football out. He's spreading the football out and rushing the football. And it is that balanced look that we look for. And I think maybe early on in the game, he tries to force the hand maybe in rushing the football, Johnny, where maybe or going two tight ends. And I haven't watched and broke the analytical in terms of packages that they run, but it just seems as though the second half he's calling a much more comfortable game that's tailored towards Kyler's strengths and all the guys around him, whether it's we don't even understand what the offense is doing the first half of the first two games.
We'll see what the status is of James Conner. There was a huge, heavy vet day at Cardinals practice today. We'll give an update as far as what was going on at the facility today. But I got to tell you about OGs. OGs did something that's totally going to change the game. Much like Kyler Murray, OGs, Arizona's Cannabis Kitchen, they just launched their brand new Sleep Edition gummy. You won't have to deal with any sleep deprivation anymore. No more insomnia, because OGs to the rescue. Yes, you heard us right. OGs is now flavoring dreams, not just flavoring life, flavoring dreams. Sleepy time when Sandman comes, so is the OGs Miracle Maker 2-to-1 THC to CBN ratio gummy. You got to go to weed college to know what that means, but it's good. I can tell you this. CBN is a compound that helps specifically with falling and staying asleep. And if the Sleep Edition gummy is there, it comes in the new aquaberry flavor, which is delicious. Highly recommend you check out OGs online. That's OGEEZBrands.com, OGsBrands.com. On IG as well, you can learn more about all their products at OGs Brands. You can find their products in your local dispensary. You got to be 21 years or older to enjoy.
I want to mention to everybody right now, if you're not on Underdog Fantasy and you're not playing their pick'em game, you are missing out, my friends. It's the most fun way to spice up your football season. I've played each of the first 2 weeks of the NFL season, have lost money the first week, won money last week. And look, you just look for your favorite players or least favorite players, stats, pick between 2 to 5 players for your pick'em, and you're off and running, whether you think you'll end up with a higher or lower total than the stat in next week's game. So if you're thinking to yourself, you know what? I think Byron Murphy's going to do it again. He's going to shut down Cooper Kupp. You can do that on Underdog Fantasy. And if you get all your picks right, you can win up to 20 times your money in a single day. It's fantastic. You can search the App Store, click in the show notes, use that promo code PHNX. Underdog Fantasy, get this, is going to double your first deposit up to $100. So $200 will be hanging ready for you to spend at your disposal. That's Underdog Fantasy. Promo code PHNX. Get in on the action today. And Bo Brock, the injury report looking a little bit more promising, I would say, this time heading into week 3 than it did in week 2.
Yeah, it did. And we got our first kind of look at what it looks like this week. We saw you see a ton of DMPs there, and don't panic. I mean, this is good. This is actually a bunch of veterans getting a day of rest. Some of these guys, especially the offensive players, played over 80 snaps on Sunday. Kelvin Beachum, rough day against Max Crosby, but he got some rest. Rodney Hudson, who you can pretty much pencil in every week for a rest day on Wednesday, he was just resting today. Zach Ertz, AJ Green, Justin Pugh, all just resting. Looks like those guys are 100% health-wise. We saw J.J. Watt limited. He was out there. Andy Isabella was a full participant in practice. James Conner did not practice. He was stretching with his teammates, though. It seems like he's okay. And that's a good sign for the Arizona Cardinals. They're a better team with James Conner than without, despite what you saw in that second half. And a big key here, and we could talk about this later if we want to talk more about JC a little bit, but Trayvlon Mullen, for the first time as an Arizona Cardinal, guys, was a full participant in practice.
Damien, you're muted, my guy.
I mean, it can only mean one thing in terms of depth, right? We've seen this team be inconsistent at best on defense, right? Especially in the secondary position with one constant, and that's Byron Murphy. Obviously, he had the opportunity to get that fumble return in overtime, but I think this team needs Mullen in terms of Wilson. It's been up and down. I mean, we've seen him in position, but in terms of making plays, we haven't seen that yet. And I know that we're going to get into, the defensive stats and in terms of trending and where they're at, but you want to see impactful plays by that secondary, not just making tackles for plus 10 yards, right? And it just seems the first 2 weeks, that's what the offenses are doing. And maybe, Johnny Bo, it's a situation where Vance Joseph knows that he has some, I would say less experienced corners, but coming off the year that Marco did, where he's doing maybe a conservative approach, like, hey, just keep everything in front of you, right? And we'll play the next down rather than being man and being aggressive and letting guys take those shots.
To me, Mullen is going to play. I've no doubts about that. If it's a physical aspect that was holding him back, of course, like the last couple of weeks, if he's a full go in practice and they're kind of downplaying his availability because of the mental aspect, listen, they need a big physical corner to go out and cover some of these horses for the LA Rams.
Does he start, Johnny? Does he start?
I would hesitate to say he starts, but he's going to be active.
I think
he's definitely going to be active.
I think he plays like a Jace Whitaker role. 60% of the snaps.
I don't way up.
Yeah, for sure.
I was going to say nickel packages, and I mean, with the Rams offense, he'll get a lot of opportunities.
Marco and Byron are playing good football. You don't want to disrupt that, but what you want to do is seamlessly interweave Trayvon into the mix. And now that Byron has shown you he can play outside in the right situation, and we talked about it last week, Devontae, big physical receiver. Yes, he's a burner, but I just think that plays better to Byron's strengths, whereas you do not want him taking on some of these smaller, shiftier wideouts. So, you can kind of, for the first time, if you're Vance Joseph, Bo, mix and match the corners to the opposing team's wide receivers. And on the opposing team's depth chart and injury report, Van Jefferson is not practicing. He's got a knee. Yeah. So they've got just really two capable wide receivers, Allen Robinson and, of course, Cooper Kupp. That's a big if. Mm-hmm. But Cardinals are in an advantageous position for the first time. Maybe they have more corners than the other team has wideouts.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to take a team effort, defensive effort to slow down Cooper Kupp. I mean, I think I saw like in 21 of 23 games with Matthew Stafford, he has over 90 yards. I mean, that's absolutely just absurd. You like what Byron Murphy did against Devontae Adams. If you look at the game film, it's not perfect. Like the Jalen Thompson pass breakup on Darren Waller in the end zone, Derek Carr just throws Devontae Adams. He was open wide open in the end zone. There are a couple times where it was more a product of Derek Carr not, being on top of his game than Byron Murphy, but still a solid performance to keep a guy to two catches for 12 yards and 7 targets. But yeah, I mean, Kliff said it today, and we've heard it over and over with this coaching staff, how big trust is with them. And it's between the ears for Trayvon Mullen. It's not a physical thing anymore. He's ramping up there. I saw him on the practice field today. Is more than I ever have. He's actually getting in drills, not just kind of taking a knee and kind of spying and being a shadow of Byron Murphy or Marco Wilson. So it's encouraging. If he can just play, anywhere between 40 to 60 snaps, we know what that can do to this defense and put guys in a better position for success, like the Isaiah Simmons, Zaven Collins, and you're not seeing these stupid matchups where these under skills linebackers and then
just say it.
Yeah. I don't want to see fucking Zeke Turner, guarding whoever the skill position player or Cooper Kupp for some God-forgiven reason next week. I'm gonna spike my drink in the press box if that happens. So,
but guys, you guys have this energy. Like, I mean, I'm just trying to lower my expectations because you guys have this energy. Like it's like Mullen is Jalen Ramsey. Like, don't get me wrong. Yeah, I want him to be, but you guys, I think, are elevating the expectations of that he's going to come in here and do some Patrick Peterson year 1, year 2 type ish. You know what I mean? And I don't really. I'm just trying to lower my expectations. I just want him to do his job, right?
Right.
Like I want them to come in there and be competent, make plays, not have any, mental errors where you have guys running wide open down the football field. And granted, the guys haven't played bad, but I think that collectively, besides that second half turn on that we saw from that defense, Johnny, like collectively, this defense has to start off better, and they got to play better collectively.
I'll tell you what that is, DA. We're in a toxic relationship, especially with that position group on this damn team. It's like we haven't seen like what a true cornerback room looks like in just like the slightest thing of chivalry. A guy opens up the door for you, like, oh,
hope,
the best person in the world.
It's hope, hope for sure.
Well, it's because we're gifted all of these star hybrid linebackers that can play every position, so you can just dabble in every position group that you want. Here's what I will say. Cornerback has not been a problem each of these first 2 weeks. Outside of Isaiah Simmons trying to play corner in week 1, and it didn't go well. I would say against Juju Smith-Schuster, the front seven does its job. It doesn't matter if Trayvlon Mullen plays great or average or below average, because the front seven is going to dictate this game. J.J. Watt and Zach Allen were borderline unblockable in the second half. Those two set the tone. You've got Brian Allen, who's the starting center for the LA Rams, did not practice. They're signing centers off practice squads this week. That's going to be a problem for them. Their offensive line already has not been good this year. So as much as I'm fearful of Cooper Kupp and what he can do, of course, Allen Robinson had a touchdown last week. To me, if this front seven for the Arizona Cardinals backs up what they did in the second half of the Rams game, where they controlled the line of scrimmage to the point where it got the Cardinals extra possession after extra possession after extra possession, especially after Cardinals flaked out on fourth down, they got the ball right back. That's what this Arizona team needs. They need their defensive front seven to set the tone. And then, yes, Trayvlon Mullen can be a nice complementary piece. Most people out of Vegas say if he's healthy, which is a big if, he's an above average player. He just never was healthy, always had lower body injuries. For me, I continue to harp on this. The Cardinal front seven, like they did last year when the team started 7-0, will dictate how this defense plays. Jalen Thompson, Budda Baker, Byron Murphy can only do so much if the quarterback, like in week 1, was given 10 seconds to throw. And we've lost Bo Brock. What is going on here?
At the studio.
Well, at the studio.
At the studio.
A couple other things. I'm gonna pull back up this injury report here as it relates to this week against the dreaded Los Angeles Rams. I would say Watt, he needs as much time as he can get. Let's see what producer M is. The internet just cut out in the studio, Damien Anderson. So we're gonna hang tight, wait for Bo Brock to come back. But in the meantime, Andy Isabella was back practicing for the first time since hurting his back in the weight room. I think he was squatting. So presumably he's going to be wide receiver 4. And then Trayvlon Mullen, as he just mentioned. So very, very encouraging. Now, knowing this team, there's always a possibility somebody could get hurt during practice, like Rondale Moore did, prior to week 1. But you got to feel good. You got to feel good about where this team is, where they've come from. We've talked about it at nauseum. This team just screams like, let's overcome short-term adversity toward the end of the season, and let's be better for it. Let's get those, growing pains out of the way that they didn't experience last year until shit hit the fan when Watt and Hopkins were gone. I feel like now it's most people, if they come out and they're competitive Sunday, and damn, if they win this game, think about the perception of this team changes. You go into a game against Carolina, you're 2-1. You're getting more horses back every week. It'll be Antonio Hamilton. It'll be Antoine Wesley. It'll eventually be DeAndre Hopkins, Rondale Moore. That's got to give the guys who are doing the job in the meantime that much more confidence.
Johnny, this game is war of attrition, and timing is everything, right? The last 2 seasons we've saw this team break down towards the latter part of the year, whether it be injuries. So to see this team, hopefully this is the end, right? This is the end of it, and it's trending in the right direction, and you're getting all these players back that you need that are impact players, Rondale Moore, obviously D-Hop, guys that are Pro Bowlers. So when you have those guys coming back, I think the offense is going to be the offense, Johnny. I think they're just trying to find their identity without D-Hop and, what type of deal they're going to do in terms of Kyler, what type of balance are they going to have with him running the football. But to me, as you talked about that front seven, to me, that's paramount. in the success of this organization, right? Because we've seen that anytime that the offense maybe is off to a slow start, like that defense got to be there. And we've just seen it's just been too inconsistent the first 2 weeks. And as I said, I like to give it about 4 weeks before I make any determination. But
I like that rule. It's a good rule.
You know, but to see Allen and Watt do their thing in the second half and just the team come together, as you said, get the ball back to the offense on multiple occasions. I think it was a situation. Don't get me wrong. This was a piece of the offense having its success and going on multiple play drives, but it was the defense getting them off the football field. I think it was 40 minutes of regular time before, the opposing team had the ball offensively. So just to have that mindset, whatever it is, the changes that they made, halftime adjustments, as our own balls are, wrote earlier this week, tale of two halves, to have that mindset, as you said, Johnny, to overcome that adversity, that's one that they could put in the bucket to know that anytime that we're down, anytime that we're facing, tough times, we got a chance with our quarterback, and our defense stepped up and made a play against playmakers. So they got to feel good, and that's a big, achievement for them. Winning is hard in the National Football League, but to win in the way in which that they did showed a lot of character, showed a lot of growth on their part, and hopefully they continue to do that and have that same type of success early against the Rams this upcoming Sunday.
Sly says, we've never beaten the Panthers. I'm putting $100 on the Panthers. Well, let's cross that bridge when we get there, because the Cardinals are also 2-0 against Baker Mayfield. So something's got to give in that game. JJ asks, where's Max Williams? He's a big reason why. AZ in 2021 went 7-0. He's back. He's playing, just not throwing him the football. That role is reserved for Zach Ertz. Max Williams had a tremendous game pass blocking over the weekend, and I think he, along with somebody like Justin Pugh, Rodney Hudson, J.J. Watt, these guys that were hurt and banged up and coming back from injury, knock on wood, they don't re-aggravate something. They're only going to get better, which is what I think the Cardinals have going for them. Kyler Murray does own Baker Mayfield. All right, well, we're going to talk about who's trending up and who's trending down for the Arizona Cardinals here in a hot minute. But I want to remind everybody, in case you haven't heard, Herm Edwards is out. ASU has a new coach. Come to our Four Peaks tailgate this Saturday to will the team on to their first victory in the post-Herm Edwards era. Get this, $50. It's going to get you access to the buffet. The buffet is absolutely loaded at Four Peaks. Chicken wings, nachos, pizza, barbecue grilled chicken sandwich, pulled pork, dessert pumpkin porter cheesecake, donut holes. Hell yeah. You'll also get 2 Four Peaks beers and a free ride to the stadium. Plus, on top of all of that, a PHNX Sun Devils guys, they're going to be there. They're going to play cornhole. They're going to play Jenga. They're going to play Connect 4. Go and give my guy Shane Diefenbach all the grief. And get this, the first 15 people to sign up will receive a ticket to the game and a PHNX membership. You get all that for $50. It's too much to even repeat. The next 15 people to sign up will receive a PHNX membership, over $150 value, just for $50. If you're interested, which why wouldn't you be? Check it out in the show notes below. And I want to remind everybody, dabble on DraftKings, baby. I hit on some parlays. I got some parlays I want to share for you this weekend, but new customers can bet just $5 on any team to win. Get $200 in free bets back if they do. And if that's not enough, Mr. DA, everyone can boost their winnings. DraftKings step up same game parlays right now. If you add a leg, you can add it and boost it, winning up to 100% with payouts bigger than ever. Why would you bet on football anywhere else? You wouldn't. To make things even sweeter, you can throw down on stepped up same game parlays once per game day all season long. So you can dabble on Sunday, run it back the following Sunday. It's simple. All you got to do, download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Use that promo code PHNX. That's promo code PHNX on DraftKings Sportsbook. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See those show notes for details. Well, look who's back, Mr. Bo Brock, just in time as the Wi-Fi goes out. PHNX studio in downtown Phoenix. All good. Bo is here. DA, Johnny Venerable. Who's trending up? Who's trending down? Let's start with those who get an A+ for the week, gentlemen. Trending up for the Arizona Cardinals, Zach Allen, coming off maybe his best game as a pro. Dominant via Pro Football Focus. Dominant with your eyes if you were watching the second half. And then how about our boy, Byron Murphy, 33rd overall pick, local product, fumble return for a touchdown to win the game, but also we've heard it, 2 catches, 12 yards for Devontae Adams. And Will Hernandez, who I think has brought a physical presence to this offensive line. The advanced metrics back it up, but you just watch this game. You watch what he's done for Kyler Murray in the pocket. Those 3 guys, those are my trending up players for the week, gentlemen. Your thoughts?
No, I like it. I like it. Anytime that you could be a disruptor up front on the front seven, Johnny, as you mentioned, be a playmaker with Byron Murphy and do your job, what you want your offensive linemen to do, and protect your quarterback, giving them time and allowing them to run the ball, which they had success in the second half, doing so with the running back and Kyler Murray. You got to feel good about these three guys.
Yeah, absolutely. You have to like what you've seen from some positions that there were question marks about. I mean, we talk about the cornerback position and then up front, defensive line with Zach Allen, and then the offensive line, Will Hernandez comes over with a ton of question marks. Can he play at this level? And he's certainly shown through 2 games that, rejoining his college coach and Sean Kugler was just what the doctor ordered as far as him finding success in the NFL, and he's nasty. And I can't wait to, I'm cautiously optimistic that he can be an upgrade as far as slowing down Aaron Donald. I'm not saying he's going to just completely neutralize AD, but that's I like what I've seen from Will Hernandez, and these guys are definitely trending in the right direction. And Byron Murphy certainly needed it after a tough game 1 for this entire defense.
That's who's trending up for the Arizona Cardinals. We're also trending up. Smash that like button below. Help this video out. Share it around the YouTube metaverse algorithm, whatever the hell those big words are. We're feeling good about those 3. Then there's some areas of improvement for this team. I mean, how could it not? They didn't lead at any point during regulation, yet they're 1-1, trending down for the Arizona Cardinals. Let's begin. Nick Vigil, not great. He's got the lowest PFF grade of any player on the team. He was absolutely abysmal via Pro Football Focus on Sunday and with your eyes. He was a free agent pickup out of Minnesota, gentlemen, this offseason. Not a replacement for Jordan Hicks, but maybe some, insurance. But he's getting outplayed by damn near everybody at that position group. And then pass rush.
Can we be done with it? Can we be done with Nick Vigil after 2 games?
No,
can we see what Chandler?
It's all we got, guys. I mean, you just can't this early. You can't this early pull the plug, like you said, and throw Chandler in there. And I just think it's more of a equity respect thing, Bo. Maybe hindsight, right? You're like, damn, we should have played Wooten. But I think you just got to go with what has worked, and it saves you right by winning a football game, because you're like, all right, well, we won a game and he was out there on the football field. But once you start trending in the wrong direction, that's when you get replaced, unfortunately.
I mean, his Pro Football Focus grade shows he's not going in any direction at all. He's going, 20. I didn't know Pro Football Focus went that low. Like, as far as his coverage grade, like, there's 0 coverage. I think it's brutal. And then he's a turnstile
right.
for ball carriers. Like, I haven't seen anything that should keep him on the field, and I don't think you could get any worse. And that might be just me thinking the grass is greener on the other side. And that's, to your point, that might be true. It might be too much. Obviously, this is a team that does not have any confidence in its rookies, regardless of where they get drafted. And an undrafted guy like Chandler Wooten, I'm sure he's got a long way to go before they would even consider this. But I think I've seen enough from Vigil. I just don't understand how he continues to get snaps.
I mean, what else are you going to do, guys? Johnny, I throw this back to you and Bo. Like, what else do you have? Is your only
I'm going to tell you, Isaiah Simmons plays inside backer, and I would put Isaiah in his position from last year, and then Zaven calls the defense. They're your 2 inside linebackers. You drafted those 2 guys to stand next to each other. Like, cut the shit, Vance. Cut it. Cut it with Devon Kennard, too. I couldn't put Devon Kennard on this graphic as trending down because he actually got promoted to the active roster. So that was kind of, a hyperbole. But Cardinals pass rush, gentlemen, 1 sack through 2 games. Not great, and it came from 100-year-old J.J. Watt, who did look great, but the outside linebacker position in particular, very minimal pressures. Dennis Gardeck's been playing well, but most of that is in coverage, right? Marcus Golden probably still playing his way back from injury. And then the other side, you're getting jack shit from Devon Kennard, and I'm a little bit frustrated. Victor Dumakagi looked like he was going to be somebody that, had their hair lit on fire. He's been a no-show, and I can tell you right now.
Blocky.
Yeah, right. Here's what I'm going to tell you right now, guys. Cardinals have a very unique situation where Jimmy Garoppolo is now starting in San Francisco. Stafford is already immobile. Load up on your pass rush. There aren't any mobile QBs in this division anymore. At some point, we're going to get, Tree Man Drew Lock, and none of these guys can move. You got to go out and get somebody. You got to get a Jason Pierre-Paul. You got to get a trade for a Robert Quinn. I guarantee you that's on Keim's radar. There's no way this is going to stand. But right now, Damien, you mentioned it. We get 4 games in. It's a good sample size of the season. I don't like this trajectory. And Devon Kennard, 3 sacks in 30 games, Bo, is not going to fix it.
No, it's not. You'd be hard pressed to find a 2-game stretch where they've only kind of figured or gotten themselves a sack. Like they've been able to get home a lot more with even less, I would think, is talent wise, sometimes due to injuries or various other different situations. So 1 sack through 2 games. I mean, the pressure rate's still there. They're still getting quarterbacks off their game and out of the pocket or collapsing the pocket, which is good, but you still want to see them get home and get some quarterbacks on the turf. So yeah, you're concerned about that position. It was an area of concern before the season even began, and we're just kind of seeing same guys out there, the same ineffective guys, and they're just out there because they've earned the trust of this coaching staff. Where I'd rather see some guys get some opportunities, maybe put some quarterbacks on the turf.
Guys, what they have right now and trying to generate, pressure, whether through scheme with Vance Joseph, we saw the Kansas City Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid tear that to shreds. And it was probably a game plan for the rest of, the opponents throughout the season. Hey, if they try and do this, we're going to do that. They try and do this. So they kind of have to be reserved in terms of their aggressiveness because we've seen them get eat up with hot routes, right? Dropping the ball off to the receiver, dropping the ball off to the running back. So we've seen at time where, with this sample size, right, Johnny? So I think it's just going to be time. I think that you have to be aggressive in terms of that trade deadline, Johnny, to be where you want to be. And unfortunately, Von Miller isn't available because he's helping out teams, but to get Jason
there'll be somebody available.
Yeah, Robert Quinn, Jason Pierre-Paul, as you mentioned, and Ndamukong Suh. I just think that even having Ndamukong there, at that, although it's not an outside person, the fact that he garners so much attention. Yeah, the fact that he garners so much attention, it's going to create opportunities for other guys. And hopefully, normally we hear Junkyard Dog's name called a lot earlier, than we're hearing this year. And like you said, Johnny, hopefully it's him just playing back from injury. But in order to get pressure and turnovers too. I mean, we know that they're a huge indicator of winning, football games, right? I mean, it was a huge one why the Cardinals pulled off this win in game 2. So to me, you want to be aggressive and try and create those, but at the same time, you have to, I think it's a bend, not break right now, and let our guys go out there because we have to be strategic when they're blitzing and they're applying pressure, Johnny, because we've seen that, open the doors, the floodgates open when the Arizona Cardinals play Kansas City in week 1.
Yeah, and the Cardinals aren't running a traditional 3-4, as many people pointed out to me when I suggested switch to a 4-3. So that I don't care where it comes from. Defensive tackle, defensive end, outside linebacker, get after people, make people uncomfortable. That's the Cardinals' best game plan to winning this division and bouncing back defensively. And I'm with you, Elawan 5. Watt next to Suh, sign me up for that. And again, Suh can come in and be on a pitch count. Jason Pierre-Paul, Bo Brock can be on a pitch count. Load up on these veterans. Give yourself a chance, because right now I don't have a ton of confidence that the guys that they're playing defensively, and maybe they'll prove me wrong. Certainly, we're not going to see the rookies because it's Vance Joseph. So you might as well bring in a couple veterans to help apply some pressure.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, this is going to be another big opportunity for them to create pressure and get to Stafford, and just like they did to Derek Carr, and it didn't look like that was going to be the case in the first half, but yeah, if it continues to be the same thing over and over, then yeah, you start to bring guys in. But it seems like this is going to be the group, at least for this week. I'm still not a believer that Suh would join this team. I'm not sure.
Why do you hate Fonzie?
I don't hate him. I don't. Look, if you could get it,
why not though?
If you get him to sit down at the table and entertain your offer, I think that's a big win for the Cardinals. But like 35 Super Bowl ring, like if they have the money, sure. But are you going to get the inspired play from Suh? I think if he gets out there, he's a guy that's not going to want to play like shit. So that's good. But I just don't think he would entertain it unless the Arizona Cardinals get off to, if they have a miraculous run to maybe, 7-1 from an 0-1 start. I just think it would take a lot for him to view this because I think the only thing that's going to keep him come back is a ton of money and another chance at a ring.
Yeah, RM said Rashad Lawrence in the chat said is already better than Suh, and I'm just going to do that Jordan mean. Stop it.
Lawrence has been good.
Stop it. Stop it. He played solid, but come on.
You could never have too many pass rushers. And then the last thing trending down, we kind of touched on it, was the play really of the defense creating interceptions. They've got, I think, 1 or 2 turnovers, both forced fumbles, but no interceptions through 2 games. That's not as surprising because this defense, the secondary, they're not a bunch of ball hawks, right? I mean, Byron Murphy started the year last year hot, had a bunch of picks, but does Marco Wilson have a career interception? Isaiah Simmons can intercept the ball, but he's not playing right now. So that is not as surprising. But I can tell you right now, Matthew Stafford's got more interceptions, 5, than he does touchdown passes, 4. So if there's ever time to break that spell, gentlemen, it's this Sunday against the LA Rams. The Cardinals picked off Stafford, I think, twice last year in LA en route to that victory, their only victory ever against Sean McVay. The best way to force turnovers is to get pressure on the quarterback. I want to remind everybody right now, we have the hottest gear going at the PHNX merchandise locker, better than any other show. I love all of our competing shows. They're all part of the PHNX family. How about this shirt right here? The touchdown shirt, the Buddha shirt. It's a new release. You can cop it right now, $29.99, or you can cop yourself a membership for the year, $59.99 from the PHNX merchandise locker. How about this? The Hollywood Hills sign on Camelback Mountain. Double dip a little bit. Get both. The shipping is, I think, combined. Fantastic deals going at PHNX, at Go PHNX. And as we mentioned earlier, we got a big event coming up this weekend at the Lola. We want everybody to be happy and healthy. So go out and get yourself a COVID-19 vaccine. They're free for everybody 5 and older. Those 12 and older are also eligible for a booster. All you got to do, visit azhealth.gov/find-vaccine to get a location nearest to you, Bo Brock.
We've got a brand new studio. We love to show it off. It's because we got this beautiful furniture from More Furniture. They got their fall sale going on. Check it out, morefurniture.com, M-O-R, furniture.com, to get in on the fall sale and kind of pimp out whatever your apartment, your house, wherever you may be squatting. Get some More Furniture in there. And whenever you take somebody home, you don't just look like a homeless person. It's great.
A slob kebab. One more time, I want to remind everybody of our big event this Sunday at the Lola, tailgate extravaganza ahead of Rams at Cardinals, the official PHNX tailgate. It is the best in the Valley. It is at the Lola Cocktail Lab and Eatery. $10 gets you everything and anything, games, giveaways, doing it with our partners, Bird Gang Travel Club. I'm going to be there. Bo's going to be hanging out. The GM, Saul Bookman. It's going to be a banger of a good time. It's going to happen immediately following the PHNX Tailgate Show, which kicks off your Sunday of NFL action at 9 a.m. Gentlemen, we are on audio only tomorrow. We're excited. It's Rams week. It's maybe get above 500 week for the Arizona Cardinals. Damien Anderson, you're off for the rest of the week, my friend. Give us your official prediction and your DraftKings player or king of the game for Sunday. I'm going to put you on the spot here.
I'm going to go with the hot hand, guys. I'm going to go with, again, Greg Dortch and Kyler Murray. Greg Dortch and Kyler Murray. I think Kyler sees he has the vision now to know that he can run, right? And that it helps out. It finally sunk in, and Greg Dortch is just going to continue to be a monster out there and making electric plays and bringing this team on where it seems like Hollywood is trying to find his position within this team.
Are you picking a dub for the Arizona Cardinals on Sunday?
27-30 Cardinals.
Ooh, it's going to be a hell of a game.
Aren't they all? Aren't they all, though? Aren't they all? You know what I mean? What do you guys think? I'm throwing it right back. I know you guys got to talk about it more throughout the week. How you feeling right now, Johnny? How you feeling right now?
I feel much better than I did a week ago. I feel we're going to get a competitive game one way or the other. And I feel
very
like
political.
Now listen, what the F was the last 2 weeks outside of fourth quarter and overtime? The Cardinals owe the fan base.
Good people on both sides, Johnny. There's good people on both sides.
I just hope that we play a clean game and nobody gets hurt. Yep.
Yeah, Johnny's out here media trained by the Cardinals.
Oh my God.
I just say it's going to be competitive. Am I not? Is that not a hot take? You know, it wasn't competitive week 1 and the first half of last week. So let's get 4 quarters of competitive football. But bottom line, Cardinals have shit the bed in front of their fan base for almost a calendar year. Good hell, get a W for State Farm Stadium and all the people that pay their hard-earned money to go watch this football team. And for that, and the fact that Watt is back, I think they have a very good chance of winning, Bo Brock. I'm putting on the spot.
What you thinking, Bo? Sorry, Johnny.
No, I mean, we got a special guest that loved Johnny's take so much he wants to chime in.
No, actually, all I was going to say was, you know who's not going to win It's Johnny's fantasy football team because that
all
team
right.
is so garbage. It is the worst team of all teams ever. It is so bad.
I've never played PPR. In my other leagues, I do auction drafts, and these guys are still living in the 1800s doing snake drafts. So listen, I got a couple waiver pickups up my sleeve here.
We got to take you out more. You've never drank a beer and/or played fantasy
No, that's
football.
none of
We got
that's
to take
true.
you out.
None of that's
Well, we
true.
got to take him out more, man.
Yeah. Well, I can't blame Johnny. However, whoever set up the scoring in our fantasy football league, it's like rock and jock. You got like a 15-point play if a guy rips off a 15-yard run. It's ridiculous.
You know what's so cool about rules is they're fucking there a month before you even draft. You got to draft appropriately.
I'm going to tell you right now.
Picking dudes that didn't even start on teams and started them on his own fantasy team. Cam Akers in week 1 got obliterated. Like, what?
All right.
You gotta
that
read.
should show you my focus and dedication is not to some meager bumblefuck fantasy team. It's to this show. It's to PHNX Cardinals. It's to all of you. Be sure to like, subscribe, leave us a 5-star review wherever you get your podcast. I'm 100% committed to this show. Do the same. Help your boy out. We're back
to the
tomorrow.
tailgate on Sunday when I show everybody your team and how bad.
Get out of here. You've been expelled. Goodbye. Goodbye, everybody.